What have you seen from Justin these last 2 weeks that have got everybody going, wow?
Obviously having success, completing the ball, having success offensively, scoring some points. Obviously, that's getting everybody excited or whatever. And like we talked about last week, the most important thing is to get the 1-0 in the right column, and so we were able to do that. So that's what's most exciting for sure.
When you go to check in with you on where you're at with the cadences, because I know we talked about that in training camp. It seemed like there was maybe some issues early on in the season, just with guys jumping off, not being on the same page. Is that also something that's like on the list of things that have improved the last couple weeks?
For sure, I think what was it, one each of the last two games, maybe one this game and one 2 games ago, but it's part of who we are and our DNA and the way that we want to fire off the rock. We talk about emphasizing that all the time. The blatant error of not knowing the cadence or the snapping the ball late. Those are the ones that we've improved on. We've gotten out of gotten rid of mostly. I think who was it last week? I think it was maybe Jatari had one that that's the unacceptable ones in the sense of you're not on the same page as far as your cadence. But as far as us jumping off sides, if it's like a blink, we talked about Darnell, that 2-point conversion a couple weeks back. Like those are going to happen every once in a while with the way our mentality is. But it's the other ones we got to eliminate completely.
When you guys signed Foreman, what did you like about the way he ran and what he showed in the second half of last year?
Yeah, no, I think there's a ton to like. His play style, his downhill running, he's violent, explosive gains, right? I mean, so we're excited to see, what he can put out there this week.
Luke, what specifically has Justin, the specific aspects of his job that he has done really well the last 2 games?
Completing the ball at a much higher rate, so that goes to that whole process of, being down in the game plan to process it, to see it. And I think the big part of it too, the guys are protecting really well, giving them an opportunity to do so, to be able to throw, a shot on a 3rd and long. Like that takes everybody, right? That's not just Justin pitching and catching that thing. So I think the process is getting a little bit smoother around him. So I think that helps make everything else go a little bit better too.
Look, the 2 times that DJ Moore's not had 100 yards, nobody's really stepped up and had a big game to fill that void. Assuming that the Vikings are going to really focus on him after that big game, how do you get more out of your complementary or other receivers to fill that void?
Yeah, that's going to be a constant growth for us, right? It's really important for us to have a lot of people involved in our game plan and in our process. So we have a lot of guys that we can get involved. There's a good group of receivers around DJ, and then you have our tight end group and our backs as well. So we feel really good about that. That's going to be really important for us to go forward. I mean, if we want to go where we want to go, it's got to be. We're not going to be a one-man show. That doesn't really exist. So we got to make sure we get everybody involved.
What do you feel the extended break between Thursday night and Monday offered you the opportunity to kind of see and do?
You're saying from Thursday?
Yeah,
on?
just having the extra time to look into.
No, those are always good. Refresh a little bit. Everybody get their body feeling a little bit better. But from our perspective, we really always dial into taking a good self-scout look of what we do well, what we need to get better at. We talked about the the false start thing. We got to get that fixed. Obviously, improve on that. The execution and the run game is starting to get better. I think you're starting to see some more explosives, so that's trending in the right direction. The pass game part of it, right? We're throwing the ball more on time. Everyone's where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there a little bit more on time. So you can see as we reflect, it's getting better as far as that part of it, but nowhere near where we want to, where it needs to be for if we want to be the type of team we want to be.
Luke, what have you come to appreciate about DJ Moore? Not just what he does on the field, but the kind of person and presence he's for this team?
Yeah, we've said that since the day he got here, right? He came on the practice field and he does the work. He goes out there every single day. It doesn't matter what time of the day it is, what day of the week it is, what we've all experienced. I mean, the guy goes out there and works every single day. He's consistent, has great, positive energy, learned this playbook and all that stuff. He really worked really hard to get all that stuff down. He's done a really nice job. And then, has kind of taken over that leadership role in that receiver room as well.
Luke, when you go back a few weeks to when Justin was talking about wanting to play more freely, what did you and him figure out as far as finding a way that he could do that? And have you seen the product of that? Have you seen him playing more naturally?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything in particular that we, I say there's this magic wand that we had or anything like that. I think experience gives you confidence. I think different exposures gives you confidence. I think learning from your mistakes, learning from the things you do well gives you this confidence to go out and do your job. And then, we talked about 2 weeks ago, I think it was, the big deal was of, letting them play free is it running, is it throwing, it's a blend, right? It's being able to play the game, to doing what you do well and trusting your instincts and all that stuff. But you can only trust your instincts when you feel comfortable in what you're doing. And I think we've seen him over the last, year or so just start to get more comfortable with what's going on around him.
Do you feel like you needed to kind of empower him, embolden him a little bit to be a little more aggressive in his throws, to not hesitate just because someone's tightly covered or something, like to just go for it?
I haven't empowered him more or less since this whole time. So no, that relationship, that the responsibility that he has, that burden that we talk about that a quarterback has every week, he's done a great job with handling all that stuff, and we continue to do so.
When you guys were coming up with the plan for Tevin coming off IR, I know Ryan Poles had mentioned there would be a rotation to get him up to speed. How long did you envision that initially? And obviously the injuries then throwing a wrench into that last week where you had to play more.
Yeah. The vision is just more kind of like, as you go into that situation, it's just, you talk about ramp up periods all the time, right? So that's just more the vision. There's no like direct, hey, it's only 10 snaps or it's only 20 snaps. I think it's something that you just try to continue to grow on top of it. So that's really the vision, is just see how much more he can do each and every day, each and every game.
Luke,
where have you seen the most
that were made about from Justin about wanting to play more freely? You just mentioned that. When you look back, and despite the chaos that ensued from it, was that kind of an important moment in just voicing that, even privately to you guys, about wanting to play more freely?
No, because it wasn't expressed privately or anything like that. This is we've been really consistent. We have a great relationship in the sense that we've been able to talk about things since the day we kind of got together, and I think it's just natural growth, and we're going to stick to making sure that we just get a little bit better each and every day, and I think we've been consistent and staying focused on doing that.
Where have you seen the most growth from Darnell Wright over the first 5 games?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Darnell is a great talent. He's a powerful guy, athletic. I think the cool part about him is he's settling into, playing the position, assignment friendly, and so you got week 1 or 2 where maybe there was some missed assignments and stuff, and so all that stuff is just kind of, he's figuring out his game, he's figuring out the system, he's figuring out how to play next to somebody. I think it's really important when you have the tight ends that we have, and then now he has Nate. I think all that stuff just makes everything a little bit better when you can continue to get those reps with these guys.
Luke, Tyler Scott must be doing something right to be active and get snaps on game day, but the production so far isn't there. How close is he to taking that next step and actually being a bigger part and producing more in the offense? What's missing?
Yeah, I don't think anything's necessarily missing. I think opportunity probably more than necessarily the, anything he's doing or not doing. He's doing a good job. We ask him to do a lot. So for a young guy who obviously he has the explosiveness, good change of direction, all that stuff, catches the ball well. But for a young guy to be able to come in and, the guy wasn't even a receiver very much long ago, right? And so for him to be able to pick up all of his assignments and be able to get in our run game and be able to do all that dirty work, and then in the pass game be able to line them up in different positions. I think it's now just, hopefully as the season continues to go, that you see more opportunities show up for him rather than necessarily anything with him.
Do you see opportunities for him in the field now that maybe, 5 games, 6 games from now when he has more experience, he will be, get players or get passes?
Yeah, I mean, as we talked about, right, we got a lot of guys on the field that we want to get the rock to, and Tyler's one of those guys too. So with opportunity, a couple guys being hurt, change the dynamic in the rooms changed a little bit. So hopefully here in the future he will have some more opportunities.
Have you ever been in a situation where you were down to your fullback, like with the amount of running back injuries that you had? Has that ever popped up?
Yeah, it has, unfortunately. So yeah, it just kind of is what it is, right? You gotta play the game. I can remember a 2016 NFC Championship game. We had to move Troy Guion to right guard, who's a defensive tackle. So it happens in games.
With the success, I know you guys think we made too much of the mini bye last year before the Patriots game. That's probably accurate. But the success that you guys had in crafting an offense using that extra time, did you learn something from that that's applicable this year and was applicable in the long weekend you guys had?
No, I think I just reflected my experience around the head coaches that I've been around, and And Flus is another one that kind of the same thing. We just believe in a process, and you believe in, what you're doing. And as long as you're making strides, you're doing things that are fundamentally sound, and your play style is the right way, that everything is as long as it's getting better each and every day. That's what's most important. I've had plenty of seasons where it didn't start right and it finished really well. And I think that's more important than necessarily starting off as the hottest team in the league right away. I think it's more important that you're getting better every single day, and you make sure that you're playing your best ball when it's time. Thank you guys.
All right, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How's everyone?
Good, you?
Doing awesome. Thank you. Go ahead and shoot.
Richard, the fake punt that Minnesota ran last week, it felt like that's a pretty unique design with the misdirection there. Like, why don't we see more of that in the NFL?
I think you do. When you look at it, you go across. It was a great design, great play. Got leverage on the edge. Outstanding job by them and their unit. It's run about once or twice a year, that same fake that they ran. But they did a really nice job with it, and it was a great time to call it. So obviously this unit has done fakes in the past, so we are always alert for that every week, and we got to be alert for that definitely this week. But it was a great design by Coach Daniels and his unit.
How do you prepare for something like that, knowing that like either with a direct snap and then the change of direction and the option that they had on that too?
Yeah, you just prepare for it by reading your keys. Reading your keys and being disciplined and playing disciplined ball. And everybody has them. I mean, every special teams has them. It's just a matter of when you use them. So we got a ton of them. Other people have a ton of them. Green Bay's got a ton of them. Everybody got a ton of them. So just always got to be alert for that.
With rain potentially in the forecast for Sunday, do you do anything throughout the week to kind of prepare for that as like return specialist, or is there anything that you do?
Yeah, good question, Nick. Yeah, we always every Wednesday anyway, we call it Wet Ball Wednesday. So when they get done with all of their stuff in a normal environment, then we put them through all of that stuff with as many wet ball drills as we can do, many things that we can put them through to guess, like kind of keep them guessing and surprise them. When they're down there, think they're done, then we say, okay, here we go, field goal, or okay, here we go, punt, or here we go, now it's a wet ball. So we do it all the time. We do it every week, but there's obviously more emphasis on it this week with the forecast being what it is and us potentially playing in inclement weather conditions. But we talk to them about, cleats, getting their feet in the ground, all that kind of stuff, ball security when it comes to returners. And then also, ball security has to do with the snapper, the holder, the kick. It's got to do with anybody who touches the ball. So great question.
Richard, do Cairo and Trent have a little bit of an advantage on a day like that just because they've kicked from Soldier Field? They kind of have a better, obviously every kicker and punter in the league is preparing for it and knows the intricacies, but they have a little bit more institutional knowledge.
Yeah, I would say so, Kev. That's a great point because if you guys notice, and I know you have noticed, even when we go inside, we always kick outside, no matter what the weather is, no matter how cold it is, no matter if it's raining, as long as safety permitting, we're going outside at all costs. So I do feel like we have, a little bit of advantage over a team that doesn't do that on a daily or on a weekly basis.
So what have you liked about what Charles Smith has done the past 2 weeks since he went in?
He's gotten better, You always wonder what it's going to be like. And I've been fortunate to have done it for a while where I've had rookies go in and have to start, but it's always a little bit, you're always a little bit anxious. But he's gotten better, and he's a young man that prepares well. He goes into it with great detail about his assignment, what he's supposed to do, how he's supposed to do it. So, it's always not sure about how it's going to be the first time. And I was really pleased with the way he approached the first game, and then the way he approached the next game, the second game versus Washington, where I thought that he played consistent and he got better. And that was the biggest thing. As long as you can improve from week to week, you're happy with that.
Stroman's not as young, obviously, as Smith, but he doesn't have a lot of experience. What was the key to him to being able to step in and produce like he has?
Well, if you go back to training camp, he had a really good training camp. He had a lot of production on the ball on a day-to-day basis. And when he's gotten his opportunities, you know, everybody on the team's had good plays and bad plays. But he was able to, on Thursday, he played a really good game, was very instinctive, showed that he's played the game of pro football before. It wasn't too big for him, and was really excited for him the way he played and the way he was able to produce.
John, we hear a lot about takeaways coming in bunches. If you keep focusing on them, they're gonna come. And that finally happened for you guys.
Yes.
So what is it? What is the secret or the key to having those takeaways come in bunches?
Well, the first thing you have to do, you have to have a strong belief system in it as a coaching staff. And obviously, that's here with Coach Eberflus. I was fortunate when I was here before. That was obviously a huge emphasis, and we had guys that it was on their mind all the time. They were very mindful of taking the ball away, and that's what is the same thing here. Coach is almost fanatical, even more than when I thought when I was here before with Coach Smith. But he's fanatical about it, and you've got to constantly be mindful of coaching that on every play. And then for them, it becomes second nature. Just like anything, you keep doing it over and over, and they'll come. As long as you put the effort in, it'll happen for you.
John, what was it like late in that game on Thursday? We were already down Jalen, Kyler, Terrell down. I think Greg got hurt too, and Jalen's coming and John's coming. What was it like, and what was kind of the pride you took in the way that your group handled everything?
Well, I think first of all, the group handled it really well. That you didn't feel any panic. I think Coach Curtis and Coach Overstreet did a great job on the sideline of making sure who was in the game, exactly knew what they had to do. They were very detailed on who was going in, what position you were going to play. We had guys play different positions. Jalen Jones went in and played nickel. Andy played corner. So I was just, it was really good to see those guys step up and perform. Everybody talks about a next man up mentality, and truly that's what it is. These kids and guys and men, they all work very hard through the week, and they do a good job of preparing through the week, and I think that showed on Thursday.
With Kyler, what would getting him back mean for the defense in general? We always hear about that slot corner spot is just so important to what you guys do.
It's a hard position to play in pro football. Just because you have to be a corner, you have to be a linebacker, you have to be a safety, you have to be able to blitz, you got to be able to play man coverage, you got to be able to play zone coverage. So there's a lot of things asked. The guys that have come in and played for him have done a good job, and they've played hard and they've made some plays for us. Having him back is a huge plus because he has really good experience in there. He has very good instincts as a player. He's a physical guy. He's a good blitzer. So he has a lot of attributes that you're looking for in that position. And he does them at a high level.
John, what do you need to see from Kyler over these next couple of days to know that he'll be ready to go on Sunday?
Just what his conditioning looks like. How reps. He's missed some time. Just see where he's at that way. But his movement looks. Just from one day of watching him work full speed, it's been great.
Matt Eberflus acknowledged the reality that Justin Jefferson not playing kind of uncomplicates things for the defense. You can be a little more basic. How does it affect your guys, and especially Jalen Johnson, not having to deal with that with an elite player like that?
Well, he's all credit to Justin Jefferson. He's a very good football player, and but this is pro football. And they're going to have guys to step up, just as you mentioned our guys stepping up. They'll have guys step up. And so if you relax or think it's going to be different, it's not. It's pro football. Everybody's really good at this level. And so they may not have the guy that is their highlighter, so to speak, but they have other guys that are very capable. So it's good for us to get Jalen back. Absolutely good for us to get back Jalen back and Kyler back. But we still got to go line up and play. And that's the bottom line at the end of the day. This league is so competitive, and you've got to be ready to go.
John, Matt was saying yesterday that you don't have to tilt your coverage when you don't have a guy like Jefferson there. What are the benefits of that for a defense, that you can just play your base scheme when you don't have an elite receiver on the field?
Well, you do adjust things when you have somebody like that, but it's always still on everybody. It's an 11-man game. So even though that you're going to tilt your coverage towards a guy, that means everybody else still has to do their job at a very high level. You still got to rush the passer. You still got to cover their other guys. They have other receivers that are very capable. So it may change your game plan from the standpoint where you don't have to focus on one guy, but you still got to play 11 guys. And in football is not going to change. That's why it's the ultimate team game. It's 11 guys doing their job. And I can remember when we were here, when Charles would go against Megatron in Detroit. Well, it was never just that matchup. It's 11 guys playing 11 guys and playing at an extremely high level.
Do you feel confident that Eddie's in a spot where he can come back this week and help you out as well?
So far, I don't know. That's a question for Matt, where he's at. But we're excited. He's been through walkthroughs. He's been really good in the meetings. So we'll just see where it's at.
With Jordan Addison, what have you seen over, the short sample size here, and then what has allowed him to be successful as a rookie?
Well, Jordan's a really good football player. I saw Jordan when he was in high school, because at that time I was in Maryland as the D coordinator, and he's a talented football player. He's very good instincts. He's got deep speed. He's very good in and out of the break because he has good foot quickness. He's a good football player. He has good concentration on the ball. Good strong hands to the ball. So he's worthy of where they took him, and he's playing at a high level. We just need to make sure we're playing at a high level as well. All right, thanks, guys.